Hello and welcome everyone to this week's COT review. I'm Thomas from COTbase.com, and today we're going to be analyzing the 14th Commitment to Traders Report of 2020. And as we always do, we shall start the analysis by looking at the largest changes in commercials positions. You may see we have the Kansas City wheat on top of our list with a 27% change in commercials positions. You can also see that there has been a large change in large speculators positions as well. There's no question that these changes can be considered bearish signals. Keep in mind we had a larger than average change already last week, which was a successful signal, as you may see. Moving on to the 5 years chart, you can see that we're more or less in between the two extremes that can be the two most extreme positions of traders on this 5 years time horizon. So I would say it's really mainly the change signal that we can act upon. Moving on to the orange juice market, where we have a 23% change in commercials positions. You may see that the change 1 week ago was much greater and very, very successful, indicating a drop in prices after this steep rally that we witnessed. Now, moving on to the 5 years chart, you can see that we are gradually getting away from these bullish extreme territories and going towards bearish extremes. Now, this report shows that we are already at an extreme of 80 reports in case of commercials and 79 in case of large speculators. So that can be considered relatively large. But this 5 years chart can show you that this extreme could widen to even greater levels, like the one from 2018, a wonderful signal. And we had much greater extremes in 2016 as well. Moving on to the South African Rand, we're going to jump over the wheat complex. Don't forget, complex markets are for our dear subscribers. So if you'd like to analyze those, then just come to COT Base and become a member. So the South African Rand, we have a 13% change in commercials positions. Going to the 1 year's chart, it is more visible over here. Not much, not that large. I would say close to average change size. Nevertheless, it suggests some rally possibly early next week. Who knows? As I said, don't forget the size, the magnitude of the change in large speculators and commercials was not that large. Not the case in small speculators. There was a 70% change, and as you may see, they are at an all-time COT extreme. Now, don't forget that COT reports for the South African Rand have been published by CFTC not that long ago, so it has a shorter COT history. Nevertheless, you can see that with respect to this 5 years chart, we are definitely at a more of a bullish COT extreme from all trader categories. Definitely small speculators being heavily short in this market suggests we may see a bottom developing soon. We'll see about that. Very exciting market. Moving on to large speculator COT extreme, we have the energy complex on top, followed by the true US dollar index, and then arriving at the euro with a 93 report extreme in large speculators. So we're going to open that market. You can see that here on the charts. No question that we are getting closer to bearish COT extreme levels. Of course, you may easily find the most bearish extremes from 2018 over here. By the way, very successful signal. Sorry about that, indicating the top over here. We're not at those levels yet, but we can get there easily. Definitely weakness in the euro market from the CO2 reports perspective. There's no question about that. We talked about orange juice. But soybean meal we have not. So we're gonna okay. So the next market is soybean meal with a 72 report extreme in large speculators and 74 report extreme in commercials. This of course is a bearish extreme, but as you may see again, we could expect this trend in traders positions to continue for many weeks and months ahead of us. Let's see what was the case a few weeks ago. A few months ago, we had actually a bullish extreme back in February in this market, pushing the market a bit higher. But of course, we have seen it collapse again and going back into a decline mode. For how long that will continue, we shall see. We would definitely be waiting for a bullish COT extreme before we can consider higher prices coming in the soybean meal market. And last but not least, let's open the Mexican peso with a 65 report extreme in large speculators. You can see there's a 65 report extreme in commercials as well, going to net zero territory. You may also find commercials just basically coming away from their January bearish extreme levels, which, by the way, was very much signaling this weakness that has been going on in the Mexican peso the last couple of weeks. So question, is this the bullish extreme that we are waiting for to start expecting higher prices in the Mexican peso? Well, just scroll back a little bit further in time and you shall see from 2015 until basically early 2017 that we had much greater extremes back then. So this really shows you that caution is definitely advised. We may see much greater extremes happening in this market, and of course, if this trend continues, we would not be surprised to see further weaknesses ahead of us in this market. So of course, this was our last market for the review. We analyzed 6 markets every week, but of course, don't forget that there's a lot of markets to analyze. I'm always showing you just a few market categories, but if you become a member, you may see all of them. Of course, you can analyze other data sets, not just the net positions. You can analyze new COT report types, other data types, and of course, dig deep in a more in-depth, detailed COT analysis if you would like to really understand every little detail about it. So I appreciate your attention. Thank you very much for being with me. I wish you a pleasant weekend. Take care of yourselves, and see you next week. Bye-bye.